be successful. So with that, I'm going to ask you to speak in a minute. We've checked out with I personally talked to the prior city manager, Mike Culpepper, in Auburn Hills. Mike knows you. Talked to the assistant village manager in Dexter. We've talked to people, so House office in the city of Midland. You're under contract in the city of Midland right now. We've had nothing but good recommendations on your workmanship. And so I think, were there any other references?
Allegan County also, we checked with them. With Allegan County, they gave good references also.
Okay, so with that, I feel better not knowing you, and we want a good job. So, and before the meeting, I told Mr. Demick that we were going to, if we approve this tonight, we're going to arrange for our own PR campaign with the residents that are on the streets that this would be done. But one question I have for you is, if we were to award it tonight and contracts were ready by July, will you get it done before Labor Day?
I would. It would be difficult. I have quite a bit of work on hand right now. The chip seal season goes to September 15th. Everybody wants you to be done by September 1st. And there's some things, down here where it's warmer. We work in farther north. We try to get all that work done. We do a lot of work in Isabella County, Sheboygan, get all the way up to Sheboygan, working near Boyne Mountain. And we try to get the north work and then work our way south, just that little bit of warmer weather. So there's something I got to do in September, and I would probably say it would be done by September 15th for sure. At this point in time, I was listening to the weather, we've lost 12 days since the 1st of May during the week of rain. So that has been just, I'm 11 days behind schedule already, and I just started on the 10th of May. So, it's been a tough spring. Schedule's going backwards, and I do have I have a bunch of MDOT work, I have county work, I have a bunch of work on hand, and we can fit this work in, and it could, if everything just dries up and everything gets sunny, then everything goes good. But I would say it would probably be possibilities for later August, but... Well, let me
put it this way. We were told by Monroe County when we visited them that you should get it done by Labor Day. And that's what everybody has said. And it's because of the evening coolness.
I agree.
But you're going to guarantee, and I know that September's, in my mind, have been as warm as August over the last several years.
The first 15 days of September. Plus, you've got a fog seal in here. Fog seal is it's not new. I'd say we've been fog sealing for 5 or 6 years. And fog seals add a lot to eliminating the problems. Most of the problems we have are some stone loss and stuff from plows and stuff like that. And the fog seal seems to add a little bit of asphalt and glues it top down. So you get a little bit, and it makes it black, so everybody thinks it's been paved. Up north, they get done chip sealing their road and fog sealing it, and the people say, why'd you pave my road? And you didn't pave, and all it's got is chip seal on it. So it does have a very good public, perception, right?
And you just finished how many miles in Lenawee County?
We just did 15 miles in the last 3 days.
In Lenawee County?
Yeah. And we do about, probably average about 180 miles a year. Total.
So how many days would it take you to put the first application down here?
Well, I would like to do your applications, back to back, because that way we can put the top on and get it, and just have to sweep it once. We can put the lower level down a little bit later, and then to put this top course on there and get it all. So just be on a road once, because if you can put them down in 2 different days, but then traffic beats on it, and there's sweeping issues and stuff like that. And we've done doubles. My dad got into business 40 years ago, and we used to do all our double chips back to back.
These sections.
How long would it take? It was a 3-day job.
3-day job? Okay, because the one section starts over this side of the airport, comes right down here, and then we skip an area and go right to...
I had like 3 or 4 days for both coats. Yeah.
So we're going to go around the table and let people ask you questions.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Start with Jim.
If in fact there's 5 sections, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If in fact worst case scenario it's a whole summer with rain. Is it possible to do 3 of the sections and then put the other 2 sections off till the spring? How would that work?
Well, I think it's probably going to be done, because it's 3 days to do everything. I mean, so we get it down to 1 day or 2 days. I don't think we're going to probably find. I mean, granted, I don't want to work when it's colder. I've had problems with late work, but late work I kind of fall back on after that September 15th deadline. I think up to September 15th we get a lot of good weather.
Well, and I know other contractors, when you get into December paving, if they know it's going to dip below freezing at night, they don't pave.
Right. Oh,
You wouldn't do it.
yeah. I won't do it. I won't do it if I think the weather's going bad. But I think that we should be able to get her done.
Because, going
You need it
eventually
done.
forward to put a millage out there, we have to have this done totally correctly.
Understood.
'Cause it's a pilot program, and if
Right.
it doesn't look good, it's not going to be pretty. So,
I
thanks.
agree. Yeah.
Ron?
This pricing includes everything except for, and I don't know why I'm having trouble with this, and I apologize. For the repairs, we have to do these repairs, that's included in here, right? The chip, the seals,
The milling.
Crack seals is a beforehand process to seal the larger cracks. The mill in 2 inches is a repair on the bad alligated areas. That will be done beforehand.
So you've reviewed all this, and you're comfortable with what we're doing?
I'm bidding on the engineer's recommendations. They have looked at the roads for the quantities.
So you have not looked at the rest?
I've looked at them,
Okay.
but I haven't measured repairs. I just, these things come out where,
So it's possible, Ron, that maybe we use that $15,000 for contingency if we need more repairs than we thought.
I mean, I don't have an idea. I can't tell what they want to do with their 2 inches. I mean, I can go around, we can look at it together and recommend, oh, here's a bad area and stuff like that. But,
In your experience with doing this, and I know this is difficult to say, it depends on the amount of traffic on the roads and a lot of other things, what's a realistic amount of time for this to hold up before we have to redo these roads again?
with a double chip seal, I would anticipate 5 to 7 years of
Okay.
real good life. If you look at chip seals around the state, South Rockwood. Is South Rockwood pretty close? All the roads in South Rockwood have chip seal, so go look at those.
And how long ago was that?
We did South Rockwood Road from the one all the way through town. That was about 4 years ago. We did the sub right on the northwest corner, that whole sub there right off the freeway exit on South Rockwood, all that last year. We've done the Ready Road, a lot of those roads around there. Most of those roads, we've done those over the last few years. And they've just called me back and says, come on down, we need to do some more, so.
And they spoke favorably of how well this other one's holding up after 4 years.
Well, they keep calling me back.
Okay. Thank you.
I really have no, questions.
Les?
Have you done any chip sealing in Wayne County?
No, I've done Auburn, Wayne County doesn't, yes. I've done chip sealing in Taylor.
Okay.
Rockwood?
I've done South Rockwood. We do all work in Auburn Hills, which is Oakland County, but Wayne County doesn't do it, and I don't know why.
Well,
Because
they used
every other county does
They
it.
used to do it here back in the late 40s and early 50s. That's what they did all the roads in Grosse Ile except the cement roads. And then they let them go to pieces, and then
That was
in
too
the
far
early
gone.
70s we had asphalt, everything.
We were in here working, sealing your cracks. My company had a contract where we were sealing them with emulsion and putting stone on them and walking around here for days. So we've been here working for you guys before.
Well, otherwise you know how the people drive on this island.
Okay, well,
Okay, Les, are you done?
they drive like that everywhere.
Phil? Questions?
2 questions. What percentage of your business is chip seal?
We do chip seal, crack seal, slurry seal, spray patch, which is some repair work, which maybe we might be able to give you guys a little help with. Like maybe take, I mentioned chip seal is probably about 60 to 70%, simply because it's the large volume
Correct.
of my work. Yeah.
And my second question would be, on this second time around, say 7 years, would we expect to see the cost less?
I think you might be able to only have to do a single. This is a double chip.
Correct.
Oh, and in 6 years you might just do a
So
single.
the follow-on maintenance shouldn't be at this level of expenditure?
Well, and hopefully the repairs, all that repair
Right.
part, if the chip seal does its job.
Correct.
And doesn't let the water into the base to let it deteriorate, then most of those repairs, unless some other areas fail, probably won't be needed.
Thank you.
John?
Yes. Jeff?
Yep.
Assuming hypothetically that something occurred and Wayne County has the permits ready in 2 weeks instead of July, so we're into June. When could you start once we had the permits in our hand?
Back into this.
I know the business out north, and it depends on your equipment. You might not have enough to
I only have one
pump
chip seal
south
crew.
quickly.
I only have one chip seal crew.
Okay.
It's got to go all around doing it.
Okay.
And it's got to do all I probably have $3 or $4 million worth of work on the books right now that I have to get done. They've given me contracts, and they're ahead of you because...
Well, they were there first.
Yeah.
Well, and I understand that.
They'd be unhappy if I went to you first.
Realistically, as long as we had the permits in July, as long as we had the permits in July,
Yes.
then you've got plenty of time because
Right.
you probably can't put your foot on the ground here until
August.
end of August at the very soonest. Is that right?
I could say mid-August on, I've probably got a good shot at it. But if everything, if I get some weather, if we get a little change in the
So it's
weather.
not just the permits, it's a lot of things. That's enough. I heard enough. Thank you.
Staff, do you have any questions, John? Okay. Well, Jeff, obviously we're interested and we want to use this, and maybe we can help you get work in Wayne County someday.
Well, and there's other things we can offer you. There's Cape Seals, which combine the chip and the slurry, which gives you a little bit of a micro, that's what we do in Auburn Hills. I mean, there's some different combinations, and we do that in Taylor, too, the Cape Seals. So, I mean, there's other things besides chip seal. If I do get some more work of that, I get Cape Seal work up in Auburn Hills. If somebody wants to come up and see some of that work, then we can give you tell you where it is and have you come see that. There's different ways. There's other alternatives out there besides the double chip. The double chip is the easiest traffic-wise because you can drive right on it. With slurries or micros, you have some 2 to 3 hour.
And you'll do one lane at a time.
Right.
So traffic can be maintained.
Right.
Okay, so with that, I would like to thank you very much for being here. Stay here until we get settled. But so, Hyle, I would like to ask you for a recommendation.
Well, if you are able to transfer funds and borrow funds to continue, we like to do the 5 sections that we have listed under the base bid. And we'll wait on the Section 6 for future programs. So in my letter in front of you, we did make a recommendation to award to highway maintenance subject to your concurrence. So if you're okay with it, we're okay with it, and we can just go ahead and prepare the contract documents and get going.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion we accept Mr. Jeffrey's bid and get this process going.
Support. Moved and supported that we proceed with the award of a contract for sections 1 through 5 of the proposal from Highway Maintenance and Construction for a total of approximately $275,000, accepting alternates A and B, and that we borrow, in order to complete our paving program, $150,000 from the drain fund to complete the 2014 chip seal and concrete repair programs.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
If I may, it may be prudent at this point to make this contingent upon receipt of a permit from Wayne County.
And
Just in
approval
case.
of approval of a permit, receipt of a permit from Wayne County to do the same. Now, they've already supposedly approved our specifications, but we've never received a letter that was promised 2 months ago, but that's Wayne County. So we have little respect for some of those people over there. And I don't mind saying that publicly. We bid this now because last November, we went to the county and asked for the permission to do this. We didn't get a meeting with them till April. They promised us a letter in 2 weeks, and it's now 2 months later, no letter. It's hard to write a letter, so it's very, very frustrating. So, at any rate, someday I'm going to get in trouble for chiding Wayne County. Any further discussion?
Let's stick on that for a minute.
Well, let's do this.
Let's just stick on this for a minute, because if there is a snafu, and if Demick can't start until the 1st of October, then this whole thing blows up in smoke, which is ridiculous. So the permanent heat has to be generated right now. Mr. Demick's equipment is in service someplace else, but we need to get the permits.
Well,
so none of this monkey business.
They told us they'd give us the permits.
Right. Start the if you
Well, we're going to get the permits by July 1st,
Right.
by hook or crook, because we're going to get Mr. Palomera involved, Cindy Dingle involved.
Well, let's do that.
I mean, if the motion passes tonight to award this, I guarantee you I'll be on the phone tomorrow morning pushing to get.
That gives Mr. Demick a little cushion.
Sure.
So we're not pressing him.
Well, if we don't have the permits by 10 days from now, I'm going to go to politicians and start to put
That's a great idea.
Right.
Okay. All right. Call the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So it's unanimous. I want to thank you for being here and explaining that to us. And we're going to proceed.
And I will take a video and try to get that to you so that you have something there.
Great. I appreciate that very much.
We look forward to working with you. No, I'm encouraged. I'm going to do a good job for you.
Good. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Okay. Now, we waited for Mrs. Albright to be here. Pliski, I'm sorry. How could I do that? How could I do that? Well, I thought I was being good here. Anyway, Mrs. Pliski, last night the Township Board awarded the contract for the work. So we don't have a schedule yet. On the award last night for the drain, that $16,000 drain project, you're going to have a pre-construction meeting on that?
That's correct.
Through Lorinda, we'll keep you informed, Mrs. Pliski.
Appreciate it.
Okay. And you're here, but we're going to move on to we're going to back up to item 1, and I thank you, Mr. Albright, for listening. I knew you wanted to hear about chip seals. So with that, I'll ask Sohail to come up, and we have a report in our packet. I'd like you to explain it.
After we were authorized to go ahead and address Mr. Albright's concerns with the drainage issue, we have set up a meeting with Wayne County and met with them about 3 weeks ago and a little bit over on site to see what the county can offer to resolve this issue. At that time, they stated that their forces are very slim and they're not able to provide any assistance, and they requested for the township to come up with a solution. Then they will look into it. We were authorized by the township to proceed with looking at a solution for this issue, and we have come up with something. Today, I did discuss what we came up with the county, and I did forward to them the plans and the cost estimate. And I requested that they seriously consider assisting the township because of the cost that came up with this option. And they promised they will. So Duke Hodges said he will take it to Bob Conrad. They look into it and see if they can provide at least some physical and material labor to assist. Because if you notice in the cost estimate, this project's about $83,000, which is kind of a little bit high for resolving I'm not going to say very frequent, just a drainage complaint that occurs every time we have a very heavy rainfall that's coupled with saturated grounds. So if you like, I can go over what we proposed on the drawings so you can see what we're looking at. What you notice on these drawings, this is a topographic survey that we've done. You can see here an existing 12-inch culvert that brings the drainage from one watershed along a circle to another to this side here, which is heading from north to the south. What we thought we'd do will intercept this drainage before it comes on in the backyards behind the residence next to Mr. Albright's and Mr. Albright's house. We'll intercept it and take it all the way down to West River Road and cross the river and take it to the river. What we proposed is to install a 24-inch pipe, which is, and 12-pipe plastic made out of polyethylene product to minimize the cost. That be installed at the low point where this ravine is that comes in from the north to the south. It will intercept it and take it down toward West River Road. Right here, before we get to West River, we'll daylight it, we'll open it into an open ditch. Then we'll have it collect and go in another culvert into an existing structure that we'll reconstruct. And from there on, we take a brand new pipe, 24-inch, under West River Road to the river. This pipe will have enough capacity to handle the runoff that was experienced during these heavy rainfall events. It's not a 12-inch pipe. There's a tremendous area that's tributary to this point coming from the north and from the south that converges to this location. So we thought we'd intercept it and take it to West River Road without letting it continue on private property behind this residence and between Mr. Albright's house and this residence over here. If you look at the breakdown, again, most of the cost is to install the pipe under West River Road, and that pipe was to be installed by pipe bursting method to minimize the cost of the open cut of the road and the interruption of traffic. Now, there are always options to have the county do this work. They can come in and do it at much cheaper at their own cost if we are successful convincing them to come out and assist.
So the 27,000 represents the pipe bursting?
That's correct. That's the majority of the cost to cross the road and put the end section.
What's the size of the pipe that's under there now?
24. The size of the pipe that's in there now is a 12-inch pipe, and that pipe handles most of the West River Road drainage, some of the runoff from the east, and it collects it right here on the corner, on the north east corner, brings it across the road in a 12-inch pipe into this structure over here, and from this structure, it takes it into a 12-inch to the river. Now, we believe that the size of this pipe is too small to handle that whole watershed that's coming into this area. And that's why we recommended putting a 24-inch pipe.
So Heil, that takes care of the water from the north to the south. What about
some of the southern area also.
Okay,
there is some area down here, as you know, Loma Circle splits it right forward. Now, halfway through the shape of Loma Circle, which is like a racket, there's another watershed that goes into another system that ends up in Freshman Stream. The other half continues in this direction from the north and from the south. It collects down here, and it eventually makes its way to the river, either along Loma Circle or in the backyards, in that ravine that was there for.
So are you going to capture some of that?
We're capturing most of it with this proposal. Most of that water is being captured with this proposal.
Okay, so you're saying at the point where that crosses over, that other part on the south end, south side of the road,
yes,
it makes it comes, makes that, and it'll hit that point. So you'll pick it up.
Yes. From the south, it comes this way, collects over here. From the north, it comes this way and crosses the road it collects at this point, we'll pick it up from you, take it to the river.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that both sides were taken care of, because there definitely, it was coming from both sides.
All right. Do you have any more? Let's open it up to questions from the board. Is that Ron?
I really don't have any. I'm kind of shocked at the price. Kind of floored me. But I don't really have any questions regarding the technical parts of it.
Jim?
No questions.
Les, you're familiar with this area? Questions?
I don't have any questions tonight.
Phil? No. John?
Not tonight.
All right, so I do.
Okay, go ahead, Ben.
I was up there a couple of times with Mr. Albright and County and yourself, Mr. Wilder. The amount of trees as you drive off West River up the Loma Circle, it's heavily wooded on both sides. It's very attractive. And you're going to destroy all the trees on the one side.
Most of them will be able to save the trees, the big trees on the corner, some of the trees. If you notice right here, this gray strip, that is township-owned property.
Right.
It does have some wooded characteristic to it. However, we're trying to maintain the pipe as close as possible toward the road to minimize the amount of clearing. There will be some clearing, but we're not taking all the trees down. Eventually that growth will come in. So we'll be saving some of the large trees toward West River.
On the corner parcel, what's the name of the people that own that corner parcel? What is it? Worthy. So on the Worthy front yard, so Hal, I noticed that about where the shaded area is, where our right-of-way is, there's a lot of nice, mature, healthy, good stock trees there. And you're saying they're not going to be removed?
That's correct. We're not going to remove those.
I find that hard to believe. So that this sewer pipe would be south of the trees?
It will be stopped short of those big trees on the corner down there. We're stopping it short back at this point.
Show me it. Okay. Right there. So right there, then.
So from here,
that would go overground. Then.
It would be overground, open ditch, yes. But I did look at it after you stated your concern about the trees. I went out with Lorinda and Dale, and we seriously looked at that alignment, and we tried to make sure the pipe is far enough. Yes, we are going to lose one walnut tree, which is about 10 inch in diameter, and a couple of scrub trees, some cottonwood, but the big trees that you are concerned about, we're not going to touch.
Is it going to be on top of the water main or by it?
We're going to be by it. If you notice that this pipe is going to be deep in this location, but it's going to be very shallow up here, so there's barely any cover on it right here as it comes to daylight, because again, we're losing ground. But at this point here, the ground goes up a little bit, then drops back down. So here we'll have lots of cover on the pipe. Here we will have a little bit of cover on the pipe. We did look at open cutting the ditch instead of a pipe. We did look at that option. The problem with that option is, as we get in this area, the ditch is going to be very deep, which is going to require guardrails. We cannot provide something that's steep, almost one-to-one side slope, very close to the pavement, without worrying about somebody veering off and ending up in that ravine. So a guardrail would be necessary at that point, which is also cost prohibitive. So we thought the pipe option would be the best option possible.
Well, I'm shocked at the price. For
we were also
one person's drainage problem. So I have a question.
Sure.
We looked at going on the north side of the road, and for various reasons abandoned that plan.
There are concerns on the north side. There is a driveway over here that's going to be impacted that's Dr. Ude's house. He has an asphalt driveway that has a T-shape. This is going to be impacted with the same open cut. There are some trees also on that side. There's overhead wiring that we have to contend with. And when we get close to the corner, there are guy wires, there are catch basins, there's a water hydrant down there. So that corner is a little bit more congested to deal with than the corner on the south side. Cost-wise, you probably spend more money on that side because of the asphalt in the driveway.
one thought I had, and I do want to ask you first and then Mr. Albright. What if the drainage were to continue to flow downhill like it does towards your swimming pool?
So you're looking at bringing the drainage in this direction over here between the houses?
Well, where it currently goes. And before it gets to let's say, the property line or about the property line, what if we constructed an earth berm there and created a swale to run between your property, Mr. Albright, and the neighbor's property, and let it flow? I don't know if you looked at that as an alternative to see if we could build a swale through there, drain across the front yards, it would be restored in a lawn area, and then do a crossing under the road.
I did look at that option this afternoon after you brought it up to my attention. It's a very narrow area between both residences, and it's very heavily landscaped. So it's going to require easements, it's going to require clearing and re-landscaping. Then once we get back to West River Road, we're going to have to deal with the water. So the cost, the $27,000, will repeat itself at that location to cross the river to get to the water's edge. So we'll be saving probably the cost of the plastic pipe.
Did you, Mr. Albright, would you come up to the podium? Did you build the house?
No.
Did you build the pool?
No, the pool's been there since.
How long have you lived there?
I've lived there for about 9 years. My mother-in-law has lived there since the 70s.
Did she ever get flooded before?
In the mid to late 70s, very similar flooding, yes. One thing I'd like the board to consider is that this is more than just benefiting me. Basically, this infrastructure should have been put in place when Loma Circle was put in. A 12-inch drain for all of Loma Circle doesn't get it, you know what I mean? It should have been done. They built up Loma Circle. They didn't build up the infrastructure, I feel, and I really think it should have been built up. My neighbors, people on Loma Circle, they're all going to benefit from the improved drainage. As far as putting a drain between the houses, there's about a 110-year-old American elm tree between the houses that probably would be taken out by a drain there, and the topography of it really doesn't lend to do it, put a drain there. And like Sail said, you would have to put a 24-inch drain underneath the road anyways to handle it. So like I said, it's shocking to me the amount of money it's going to cost also. But like I said, I think it's something that should have been done originally when they built the Loma Circle subdivision. Because obviously what's there now is not adequate. Not only at these rain events, but any rain event, we get a lot of water in our yard, which I don't think we should be getting.
Yeah, we have a drain fund and drain funds, and we've been, over the years we've been all about solving people's drain problems. But I can't recall a case where we've spent this kind of money for a single residence at all. And I know Loma Circle, there's some drainage problems around the area. A lot of the old drains don't work anymore, particularly on the north side and east side. This is a lot of money.
So, is there any way of doing this job as close to as effectively as this and reducing the cost, such as maybe 12-inch main or sewers?
The watershed is extensive. 12-inch storm sewer would not be able to handle that capacity. Okay. So we're going to have a backup. The only way I see to reduce the cost is to get Wayne County involved, and they should be involved. It's their drainage, it's their road. If at least they can put the structure underneath the roadway, that will save quite a bit of money. It's $27,000 on its own. And the plastic pipe that's been proposed for this run, it's cheap to buy. I mean, they have it in their yard available. They use it every time they have a problem, so they may be also able to supply that. And if they have the equipment, they can bring a grade oil and they can put it in place. I mean, they can do some of the work. I recall that they suggested that we come up with a solution. They look into participating, so I'm hoping they will participate. And we'll be pushing them to see if they can participate. We started today. I intend to call and follow up with them tomorrow and see if they are seriously looking at that. And so if their staff is tied up now, maybe they're going to hit a slow period eventually toward the end of the summer, then they'll be able to get in and do it. So even if you approve this and we start working on it now to put the bidding documents together and bidding it out, it's not going to be done before September, October. So we like to start putting pressure, maybe call Cindy and see if they can apply some of their resources toward it and minimize the cost.
You're saying they have the equipment to...
They have great balls. I mean, it's...
No, it's underneath the West River to pipe burst it?
If they don't pipe burst it, we're pipe bursting it to avoid the permit possibility. So it could be open cut by their forces without any problem. They can open cut it.
And we'd have to open cut West River.
That's correct. But it could be done in two halves.
I know,
But if the township pursues an open cut option, you have to get it permitted, you have to follow through stormwater management issues. I don't want to discuss too many of the details that we can avoid by having the county do this with their own roads division crew instead of the permit crew.
Is that realistic?
It is if they can put the staff to it. It is.
in your mind, would we have to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with them?
No. It's their drainage. We came up with a solution. We'll give them, here are the plans, just put them in place.
And what would we contribute?
The design cost.
I don't think they'll buy that.
I mean, I like to give it a shot and apply some pressure.
Sure,
and see what happens.
Well, I think that's the only option at this point is to give it a shot. But I guess we'll have to say we'd like to have this matter back to us. I know this takes time, but it's a lot of money.
I was going to suggest that maybe we table this until our next meeting because it is a lot of money for a basically a single resident that brought it forward, but I think there is something to what Mr. Albright's saying, that it's going to benefit that whole neighborhood. So, but it is a lot of money and something that we just got. And do you think we could have is there a thought that within a month we'd have something back from Wayne County on this?
We're going to try, like I said, we're going to start. I started today talking to them, and I'll follow up tomorrow and see what the discussion Mr. Hodges had with his superior about Conrad. And if it's going to hit the wall, I'll come back to you right away with it. If not, if there's some consideration on their part, we'll pursue it further and see what happens.
Mr. Chairman? Go ahead. I just have a comment. I'm listening to us talk about the amount of money, and I certainly agree it is a large amount of money, but we have a drain fund, and I look at that as kind of an insurance policy, and there are situations where some people get very sick and some people won't get sick at all. They don't use any of the drainage funds. They wouldn't use any of it. So I don't know that we can really equate it to one property owner or a multitude of property owners. I think it's a situation that needs to be remedied. And I think I agree that we should put pressure on Wayne County, most certainly. But I just would feel somewhat uncomfortable of trying to ration those funds. I mean, I know.
Well, we want to try to solve drain problems. That's what it's all about. So.
Right.
Okay, so with that, you want to have a motion? You want to speak, Mr. Albright? Any further?
With the first flooded occurrence, we estimated about $40,000 worth of damage to my property. My neighbor's house flooded also. Virginia, our neighbors, didn't report the way we did, in detail the amount of damage. The property value of my house is probably cut in half because of this issue. Because of full disclosure, there's no way I can sell the house the way it is. So, and like I said, I feel personally that this is something that should have been done when they put Loma Circle in. Grosse Ile Township has benefited tremendously from that tax base. And if you go back to the 70s, before West River Road was put in, the flooding occurred then, so it wasn't a West River Road issue when they redid West River. I think when they did Loma Circle, they were really inadequate in providing the proper drainage. And just asking the board to do whatever they can to help remedy this. I personally have spent probably about $15,000 with pro excavation, having drainage fixed around my home, trying to resolve issues until the big flood happened and we saw where the water was actually coming from. So, like I said, I hope Wayne County will help, but we've been hoping for almost a year with Wayne County, and it's just, we've run into a brick wall with them.
Right,
So
I know that. Okay. So it seems to me the alternative is to table this tonight and bring it back to our next meeting, and we'll work diligently to try to see what kind of a deal we can work out with Wayne County. Is there a motion to table?
Motion to table action item number 1.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Questions? Anybody else want to comment? So the goal is that by tabling this, that we would hope to, by our next meeting, have a response and some deal worked out with Wayne County. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, well, sorry we couldn't resolve it tonight, but we're working on it. So, item number 3 is consideration of setting a date with residents to discuss the chip seal. Based on what we learned tonight from Mr. Demick, what I'd propose to the commission is that maybe we consider at our August meeting inviting residents on the roads that we're going to do, send the general invitation out, invite them to come in and meet with us, and we'll devote the beginning of our meeting to sort of a public informational meeting with residents. By then, we'll hopefully have a video and a handout and so forth. What I'd propose, if you're all okay with that, is at our July meeting, we'll have copies of the PR materials that we want to mail out. We have a sample letter now that Sohail got from Auburn Hills that they mailed to the residents. We have the brochure from Monroe County and other data. I'll work with the staff to pull something together as a mailer, and then if we would discuss all that at our July meeting, and then at our August meeting invite the residents to come in, and for those residents that do not come in, and I expect we might get 30-40% of them, so we might fill the chamber. I don't know how many people that is, probably a lot of people, that we would mail out a mailer to the rest so they'd have it in their hands. Does that sound like a reasonable plan?
Everybody gets a packet, and whoever shows up shows up.
Yeah, so what we would do is, at our next packet, each of you would receive a list of all the property owners that front the areas that we're going to be chip sealed, copy of the PR materials we're going to propose to distribute. You can look and discuss all that, and then we can proceed. And maybe if we think there's going to be a big crowd that won't fit in here, I guess we'd be lucky if we had standing room only. We would maybe have 2 meetings. I don't know. Does that sound reasonable, like a plan? Do you have any suggestions on that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Everybody looks tired.
That's fine.
The 12th, thank you.
All right, so we don't need, if that outline is good, we'll just proceed on that basis? Okay. On the chip seal, Les, did you receive the memo that on Crawford County?
No,
I emailed it to you.
I haven't looked at any emails because I can't see.
Well, this was
So how long ago did you do it?
May 27th.
I probably haven't opened it up yet.
Oh, I'm going to call you from now on.
Is it?
All right.
With this operation in my eye, it's...
Oh, I didn't know that.
We had some complications, and
Okay, I didn't know that.
very difficult to read.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, let me read you then what I wrote.
Cool.
So Les had given me a copy of an ad from Crawford County about chip sealing. So I called, so this is a note. It's brief. Les, as a follow-up to your suggestion, last week I did, and this is dated May 27th, contact Crawford County Road Commission and spoke with Don Babcock, Managing Director, about their chip seal bid request. He said that each year they do 5 or 6 miles, and they're too small to own their own equipment. He says they have about 5 firms that will bid on their chip seal, and 3 are firms that were on our bid list. So
Wow.
Farner, this firm here, Highway Maintenance, and Terry Asphalt. He said, the other two firms are small local firms that bid on smaller jobs. So I asked him, I said, well, can you give me the names of those smaller firms? And he said, oh, they won't go downstate. They just bid on stuff around here, driveways and walkways and things of that sort. So he said sometimes they bid on smaller jobs. Then he said they generally have very good results with their chip seal. The cost for them up in Grayling, Crawford County, ranges between $25,000 and $30,000 per mile. And he said, and you got to remember, ours are rural roads. And my note to you was that this verifies the kind of data we found elsewhere.
That sounds like the guy was very cooperative.
Got right through to him, no problem. Not like Wayne County.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Smaller county.
All right, so I wanted to point that out. So with that, is there anything you're here, Mrs. Pilsky, is there anything you'd like to say?
No, thanks.
All right, thanks for being here. So Heil, anything else that you'd like to?
I think the double chip seal and fog seal is a good option. I think we should consider that. Also, we'd like to discuss what the slurry seal we talked about for roads that have curves,
Where chip sealing is not an option. So we may want to look at some of these areas with Jeff, see what that slurry seal looks like on pavement.
All right, well, we can do that. We'll take one step at a time here. Thanks for all your work on this.
You're welcome.
All right, I have no other report as chairman, so commissioners' reports. We'll start at this end. Les?
I don't have anything tonight.
Phil?
Nothing.
John?
Nothing further.
Jim?
Nothing further.
Ron?
Nothing further.
Nothing.
John?
the dust
Put it down yesterday.
control was completed as of 3 p.m. this afternoon. Also, just to let everybody know, our bike path mower is down at this time, so if you see some noxious weeds along the bike path, bear with us. The repair parts on order. Hopefully they'll be in this week. Wayne County's out mowing the right-of-ways this week as well. Our main brick restorations are complete. Anybody that has restoration in their yard, it would be very beneficial to everyone if you would water it as needed so the seed will grow. And the pavement repairs should be completed by the end of next week due to the rain delay this week. They were hoping to be done this week, but it's going to be rained out. That's all I have this morning.
Thank you. Miranda?
I'm good.
You have nothing to report? Nothing?
No.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn our meeting.
Support.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
20.